Hi everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel Life with Janet. So in today's video I want to talk about something that's really important to me as a wheelchair user: accessibility. More specifically, spec I can't say the word, guys. This is embarrassing. More specifically, I want to talk about accessible toilets and some of the accessibility flaws that a wheelchair user can come across every day. Sometimes you see somewhere disabled as accessible, but when you arrive, it's not accessible. So it could be a completely different story. So grab yourself a drink, get comfortable, and let's have a chat about accessibility and what can go wrong and what I think that could be better for us. If you keep seeing me referring to another screen, it's because I've got a script, well, not a script, like bullet points that I want to talk about. So if you keep seeing me refer to another screen, it's not that I'm reading, it's I'm looking at my bullet points to make sure I'm covering all the possible details. So let's talk about accessible. Ow, I got my foot stuck. Bear with, guys. So let's talk about accessible toilets. First, I want to talk to you guys about what an accessible toilet is. So an accessible toilet for a wheelchair user or a disability that is non-visible are two different things. An accessible toilet for a I don't want to say a non-disability, but an invisible disability. So that can mean you can have MS, Parkinson's, you can have like a stoma bag, a catheter. You're all entitled to use an accessible toilet. But for a wheelchair user, it's slightly different to what we need. So for I want to keep saying for an invisible disability, a accessible toilet is okay to use the way it's set out. So like for me, well, for someone else, sorry guys, I'm getting all jumbled up, so you have to bear with. So for invisible disability to say, there could be two bins, a sink, a toilet, a hairdryer, and another bin. That would be completely okay. But as a wheelchair user, it's not okay because we need the space. Like I will put up pictures of what a bad, I don't want to say bad, like what we as a wheelchair user would say is a non-accessible toilet to what we think is an accessible toilet up in between this. So for many people, going to the toilet when they're out is something that you don't really think about, but it's something that a wheelchair user has to think about all the time. So before we go somewhere, we always need to think: is there accessible toilets? Can I actually get my wheelchair in there? Is there enough room to move around? Can I reach everything? Not all accessible toilets are made for wheelchair users, which is a bit wrong, really, if you think about the population. So, and just because they say they're accessible doesn't mean they're accessible as such. As I say, for invisible disability, the room might be okay, but as a wheelchair user, it's not practical, if that makes sense to you guys. So space actually matters for a wheelchair user more than an invisible disability. So one of the biggest things for me is space because my husband comes in with me. So if we go into a toilet like one of the restaurant's toilets, they can have two bins, the sink right near the toilet, a sink by the wall, toilet by the wall, sorry, and then the hand bar. That to me isn't an accessible toilet for a wheelchair user. we need a bit more space. So when I do go to the toilet and they are like that set out, I have to take all the bins out to make sure I can get in. And that's not, for me, that's not right, because that, you can need a bin. Like, as I say in my other videos, I have to wear pull-ups sometimes. So if I need that bin, it is then outside, which is then I've got to leave the pad on the floor. My husband has to step over it, which is so unhygienic. So for a invisible disability for someone, they could just go into that toilet and use it with no problems. So an accessible toilet needs enough room for a wheelchair user to get inside and move around safely without having to move the bins and everything else. And there has been a couple of places where I have been, and they use their accessible toilet as their storage room for the mop and bucket, the cleaning product, the extra toilet rolls. To me, that shouldn't be used as a closet for all your cleaning products. It's an accessible toilet for a reason. So then we have to move it on. So you don't want to get through the door and then discover there isn't enough room. So when me and my husband make arrangements to go out, or my mum and all of us, I always ring up and say, can I get my big electric wheelchair in there? Is there enough room? And if possible, could you move the bins before I get there, please? Because if I need the toilet, I don't want to have to wait. 10 times out of 10, most restaurants would say, yes, it's fine, or no, we're not actually that accessible for the toilet, so would it be a good idea if you came here? Which is then understandable. But most places just whatever, and they discard your disability as a problem, which, again, it shouldn't be a problem. So, yes, that space matters, guys. So, if you see a disabled person, don't judge them for using a disabled toilet, because, as I say, an invisible disability can mean anything. It's not just about what's in the bathroom, like the bins and how close everything is, it's the doorway as well. Now, for me, I have limitations in my arm. This one is fine. This one I can move and lift heavy stuff with. But this arm is my weak arm. I call it my weak arm because I can't do much with it. So if like a accessible toilet door is really, really heavy and I'm not with my camera and I need to wash my hands or my husband, then that is a real barrier for me because I can't get into the toilet. But if my husband's with me, it's okay. Now, I think that all accessible toilet doors should be a lightweight door that is easy to open from either side. Now, if it is a heavy door, once I'm in the toilet, I will push it with my chair. But pulling it open can be a real barrier for some people, even if they do have limitations with their arms, or they can't lift heavy stuff or pull heavy stuff, which is a real problem. As I say, things like the width of the door as well, and where the handles are positioned on the door, matters. Pardon me, as well, guys. So for me, a pull handle, brilliant. But on the other side, it might be a push down handle to open the door, which is really ridiculous because it shouldn't. If, as I say, if you have limitations and you can't push the door handle down or turn the lock, then in my eyes, you're screwed because you can't use the toilet in case someone else walks in, regardless if the signs on to say there's someone in there. Because some places will lock the accessible toilet and then you don't even know if people are in there or not. So it's very hard to judge. And the handles, like the grab rails on the door, some places have them really, really high. Some places have them really, really low. And now for me, they need to be in the middle. And this is the problem. When they design an accessible toilet, they don't always in factor different people have different needs, like individuals. Like for me, a grab rail in the middle of the door is better, whereas someone with an invisible disability may be able to grab that lower bar or higher bar. So it all depends on the individuality of someone. So also what inside matters as well. So like when I have to use the toilet, is there grab rails? Is the sink at the perfect height? Can I reach the soap? Can I reach the hand dryer? Can I flush the toilet? Can I reach the toilet roll? It's all things that I have to in factor before even using the toilet or even going to this place. Now, someone with an invisible disability wouldn't have to worry as much about this stuff. They could just go and use it unless they've got limitations themselves. But no one, as I say again, it factors all these counters for someone that is disabled. Like a pull cord as well. It matters where that is placed in an accessible toilet because for someone with an invisible disability, could just grab it, whereas someone in a wheelchair with that fall and the call port is right up here and we're on the floor, we're not going to be able to reach that. So all pull cords need to be from ceiling to floor, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion, guys. So yes. Also, what all matters as well is sometimes when they design the toilets, they don't encounter how big a wheelchair actually is. Like I've gone from small to a big wheelchair, but that isn't because of me. It's because how they design them. So if builders or contractors or the people that own the place would in factor these, it would make our accessibility so much better. What do you think, guys? So, like emergency cords, I've covered. I think they should be floor to ceiling. Other accessible failures. Inaccessible toilets aren't only accessible problems the wheelchair users can experience. So, I will talk about some few others that I've experienced. You might have somebody that says it's wheelchair has that has wheelchair accessibility, only discover there's a step when you get to the entrance. Then they haven't got the ramp or they can't cater for you, which is really disappointing. You might need a ramp and they haven't got one. Again, or it's very, very steep. Like, come on, guys. Like, a wheelchair ramp should be, I think, a flat-ish, but still able to get up. If you need someone with you, then there's a problem. It's too steep. Like for me, I have a fear of falling out of my wheelchair if it's too steep. So let's get this problem sorted, people, and make all ramps like sorted. Like make them more flatter, make them less steep. Another one might be a dropped curb. Now this is my pet hate, guys. When someone parks across a dropped curb, why? Because you can't be bothered to park somewhere else, or you just think it's funny that someone that needs a drop curb can't access it. This has happened to me loads of times, guys, and it is so frustrating. Or they park on the curb. Why? Again, we have a right to walk on that pathway, no matter what our disability is. Now, wheelchairs and pushchairs can't get through if you're parked on the curb. So just be mindful, guys, that next time you're parking, please don't park on the curb or on a drop curb. have some thought about those that could need these to get out and about. Or you could be at a restaurant and tables could be really low or they could be really high. Again, it don't get encountered that we matter with a disability. You know, guys. Individually, individuals might see this as a very small thing, but to us, this is massive. Like, if something's not accessible, no ramps, like tables are too high or too low, this mattered, and then it puts a damper on our day because we really wanted to go to this restaurant, but we can't because it hasn't got the facilities that we need or they don't have. So this is my pet hate, really, guys. All about accessibility is my number one rule. Make sure it's accessible. Make sure everyone can use the facilities, no matter if you're disabled or not. And let's be fair, like, to everyone. Um, accessible means different things. Yes, everyone is different with a disability. As I say, I am wheelchair bound. My friend is got MS, so her disability is different to mine. Some people have problems walking. You never know what someone's life actually is till you walk in their shoes. So something that works perfectly for me might not work well for others. So again, the accessible toilets. What I need and what my husband uses are two different things, guys. So it's not just about accessibility in a way. It's got to be fair that everyone can use it. I hope this makes sense to a lot of you, and a lot of you can understand where my thought process is going with this. So when I talk about accessibility, I'm sharing my own experiences and perspectives from the perspective on this. I can't speak for every disabled person or user. That's why I think listening to different disabled people and understanding different access needs are really important. So I think there should be, like, at the council where a disabled person could go to put their views across to say, well, this is what accessible actually means. Let's put that into perspective and see how it works for a month. If it works well, then we put it in. If it don't, then we take it out and try again. But we don't get that chance because we are seen as a second class citizens. I have said this in previous videos, guys. We're just a nobody to everyone else. We're a burden, we're a pain if we need a certain ramp or table or a straw even. Because I can't pick up a glass. I have to have something with a straw. And now they've changed their policy of plastic straws to paper straws. It is really difficult for me to drink out of a paper straw because they integrate very, very quickly. And when I ask for another one, you can see in their face and their eyes, like, oh, another straw. Hang on a minute, I gotta grab one. Whereas someone else could just go to the bar and grab one, which is okay, but it might not all be accessible for me to get to the bar. So you shouldn't offer these services that we're here to help if you're not willing to help. I hope I hope you guys can understand this. So why accessibility means or matters, sorry. For me, accessibility isn't about special treatment. It's about being able to take part in everyday life. Going shopping, having something to eat, going out with family and friends, travelling, going to events, and simply being able to use the toilet when we're away or when we're at an event or we're out with friends and family. Good accessibility can give people more independence and freedom, and sometimes making small changes can make somewhere much more welcoming and usable. So yeah, I hope this video gets everyone's attention on why accessibility matters so much in this day and age. So, questions from my viewers. Now, I want to hear from you guys. If you're disabled or a wheelchair user, what is the biggest accessibility fail you've experienced? Please leave your comments down below. I will reply to all of your comments, and I might even put them in to my next video. And what's one thing you wish businesses and public places understood better about your accessibility? Leave your experiences in the comments down below because I really like to read them. Your comments might also give me some ideas for another accessibility video, guys. So thank you so much for watching today's video. I'm having so much fun with this conversation with you guys. I hope it helped raise a little bit of awareness about accessibility, toilets, and some of the barriers a wheelchair user will face. And if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and follow. And don't forget to leave your comments down below, guys. I'll be sharing lots more about wheelchair accessibility, daily life, shopping, beauty, cooking, and everything in between. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and supporting this video. It means a lot to me. I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!